We're in the middle of this huge shift. AI is just getting unbelievably good at logic, at reason, at pure efficiency. And it makes you wonder, right? When a machine can actually outthink us, what's our unique value then? What's left that is purely, undeniably human? So, let's get into it. Let's go find humanity's last moat.
And look, this question, it's not just about tech. It's way deeper than that. It's philosophical. It's forcing us to stop focusing on what we can do and start asking who we really are. If our ability to reason can be coded and optimized, where do we find that irreplaceable part of ourselves? Let's explore some really powerful ideas together that might just hold the answer.
Okay, so before we can find a solution, we first have to really understand the problem. And what's wild is that this whole thing didn't just start with AI. Nope, its roots go way deeper, into the very fabric of modern society itself. Decades ago, way before AI was on anyone's radar, a philosopher named Herbert Marcuse saw something that worried him. He noticed that our society was becoming completely dominated by what he called technological rationality. Basically, efficiency and logic weren't just tools anymore. They were becoming the only valid way to think. And he argued this wasn't setting us free. It was actually trapping us in a cage we built ourselves.
The result, Marcuse said, was the one-dimensional man. Now, what is that? It's someone who can only see the world in terms of what is, not what could be. That ability to think critically, to say, hang on, no, to imagine a different way, that gets squeezed out. We just become these really efficient cogs in a giant machine, and we accept its logic as the only reality. Does that sound a little familiar? Because that is the perfect environment for an AI's pure logic to seem like the ultimate power.
So, if we're sort of stuck in this one-dimensional trap, how in the world do we get out? Well, the first tool we need requires a big shift in perspective. We have to stop looking only at our own personal anxieties and start looking outward to see the much, much bigger picture. And this is where something called the sociological imagination comes into play.
The sociologist C. Wright Mills gave us this incredible concept. He called it the sociological imagination, and he believed it was maybe the most important quality of mind we could possibly develop to really get a handle on our own lives in this complex, crazy world.
So what is it exactly? Well, it's the ability to draw a line connecting your own personal, private worries to these massive, invisible, social, and historical forces that are shaping them. It's this powerful realization that your problems, they aren't just your problems.
And this example just nails it. Feeling stressed that AI might take your job? That's a personal trouble. It feels isolating. But if you use your sociological imagination, you reframe it. It becomes a public issue. You start asking, wait, how is this technology changing the entire job market? How is it restructuring our whole society? Now, this shift doesn't magically solve your problem, but it does something crucial. It moves you from a place of just personal fear to a place of broader understanding and maybe even collective action. All right, so seeing the big picture is step one. But we also have to talk about the internal, the emotional price we pay for living in this super rational, super structured world. I mean, why do so many of us just feel so drained?
The philosopher Bertrand Russell actually had a name for this exact feeling: a loss of zest for life. He argued that natural curiosity and spontaneous joy, the kind you see in little kids and animals, it gets slowly, systematically crushed by the rigid structures of so-called civilized life.
And Russell pointed to a few key things. Our freedom is boxed in by schedules, school, work. Our actions get disconnected from our gut feelings. We don't go to work because we're hungry right now. We go to get a paycheck so we won't be hungry later. We're constantly tamping down on spontaneous emotions to be professional or polite. And this constant control, this demand for a predictable routine over our natural, irregular impulses, well, it just leads to fatigue, boredom, and a slow draining of that vital energy.
Okay, so we've looked at the big societal problem and the toll it takes on us emotionally. So what do we do? How do we start building our own autonomy from the inside out? How do we find our own direction when the world seems so determined to give us one?
For a really practical way forward, we can turn to a psychologist named Alfred Adler. He had this amazing idea that we are not just victims of our circumstances, we are the active creators of our own lives. And the key, he said, is to consciously face the big questions that life throws at all of us.
Adler broke these down into three main areas. First, occupation. That's our work, our contribution to the world. Second, society.
how we connect and cooperate with other people. And third, love, which covers our most intimate relationships. He believed that your unique answers to these challenges are what actually create the meaning of your life.
And here is the most important part. Adler says real autonomy, real freedom, comes from setting a conscious, fixed goal for yourself. Think of it like your own personal North Star. It's a goal that guides and unifies everything you do, your work, your community, your relationships. It gives your life a direction that is yours and yours alone, which protects you from just being pushed around by everything happening on the outside.
So, we've gone through the critique of society, we've looked at the emotional cost, and we have a framework for setting our own conscious goals. But what fuels those goals? Where does our deepest, truest sense of meaning and purpose actually come from? To find that, we have to go even deeper, beyond the conscious mind, to what might be our final, unbreachable defense against a purely logical machine.
And this is where the legendary psychologist Carl Jung comes in. He takes us beyond our everyday thinking. He argued that the real source of our greatest creativity, our myths, our art, our deepest feelings of meaning, it all comes from a place that is vast, ancient, and that we all share.
He called this place the collective unconscious. The best way to think of it is like a psychic inheritance passed down through all of human history. It's filled with what he called archetypes, these universal patterns and images, like the hero, the wise old woman, the shadow. They're the building blocks of our dreams and our stories. This is the world of symbols and paradox, not clean, linear logic.
And right there, that's the answer. This inner world cannot be coded. It doesn't run on ones and zeros. It is messy and profound and symbolic. An AI can analyze every myth ever written, but it can't feel the power of a myth. It can process the data of a dream, but it can't have a dream. This is our home turf.
So at the end of the day, our final moat, our true defense, it isn't about being better or faster at reasoning. The machines are going to win that game. Our unique, unconquerable strength is our connection to this deep well of meaning inside us. It's our ability to imagine, to create, to feel, and to tap into those ancient archetypal patterns of what it means to be alive. The real challenge of AI isn't to our intelligence. It's a challenge to our courage to explore our own inner worlds. So the question isn't, can you outthink the machine? The real question is, what meaning can you build that a machine could never, ever understand? What is yours?